MMA's national amateur platform has arrived. It is the Elite Amateur Fight League, and this is the Fighter First Podcast.
I'm looking at your setup here because I'm trying to do something similar in my office, so I'm just looking at the ideas. I can't believe, wow, all the way to July they're backing it up to, huh?
Dude, Illinois has told me they won't even guarantee me July or August or even the end of the summer. So, I don't know, it is what it is at this point.
Hey, what's up, Jim?
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Hold on, guys.
Doing?
I just gotta get set here.
Hey, Dan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, hey.
turn your phone sideways, bro.
Wait, how many people we got?
4. Oh, turn it the other way. Your phone does not want to cooperate. All right, just go straight up and down. We'll make it work.
Okay.
There we go.
Ryan, Quinn, and Daniel Wyatt here on Fighter First Podcast, Elite Amateur Fight League. And it's good to see you again, man. We called some fights together on UFC Fight Pass. It was a lot of fun recently in Florida last January, and it seems like so long ago with everything that's going on in the world. And, Daniel, it really seems like a long time since we saw you in Virginia competing for Florida. Looking good over there, got that hair, and you and I connected when we met as well. And, you put out a great performance in that Florida versus Virginia matchup to open up season 3.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, we were behind in points, so to come back in that third round and get the finish was big for our team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was a big battle. I mean, Sean Ahern is a competitor. I know he connected with some early flurries on you, and he weathered the storm and really took it to him. It was one of the best fights of the night. Really appreciate the amount of work you and your team put in, and then the show you put on in Virginia. I mean, it was great. I can't wait to have you guys back in the league. I know you, Daniel. I mean, you're not going to be back. You're turning pro, so tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, man, yeah. After my last performance, I talked to my coaches, and they decided that it was ready for me to go pro. But for season 4, you guys are really going to have to look out because Coach Quinn's bringing a super team for next season.
We got a lot of good things in place. Obviously, I'm really upset I can't have Daniel back, but, this is another victory for me, having him go pro, and he's going to tear it up there, and I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah, we got a lot of good stuff going on there. Unfortunately, everything got put on hold, but that's everyone's issue worldwide. So we'll figure that out. And we got a lot of good things going, getting back to training, and just like Daniel, we got a few guys turning pro. So we're real busy down at the gym right now, or we will be real busy down at the gym once everything opens back up.
Well, I know in the EAFL, you guys came in with a lot of fanfare. Hey, you're American top team, and everywhere you go, you have a target on your back. And I remember walking into that fight saying there's no way Virginia gets the win, and they did. Virginia ended up with a very strong team, and they were a tough out along the way for Illinois as well, and Illinois a great team. But it was a tremendous year, and I know you guys have a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth coming in, not to bring up bad memories, and there was some judging that was questionable as well, not to diminish what happened with Virginia, but that's in the hands of the judges. And I know top team came in, and there were great performances on both sides in that. So I know, Ryan, as the coach this time, you're going to want to come in and avenge that one and done.
Oh, yeah, we already, we put the game plan in motion as far as how we're going to build this team and what weaknesses we build off from last year. And we want to be a little more in the loop as far as training as a team. We're putting together the team as far as all the American top team affiliates and stuff, and we're all just going to make sure we're really on the same page. Everyone's really in shape, and I know I hard to actually fight and not leave it to the judges, but we're going to do the best we can with that. But I think that we're going to put together a good team, and we're going to take them out to represent the East Coast in the finals for sure.
Daniel, I want to hear from you what that experience was like, taking that road trip. It wasn't a super long road trip for you guys coming up from Florida to Virginia, but just being there and being treated like a pro. And you train in a place where you can talk to anybody, and who's who, from people like Jorge Masvidal and Amanda Nunes and God, man, I swear to God, you want to check my heart after watching that last fight against Zhang Weili and connecting with her that fight week, and just so many great fighters and veterans in your gym. But to be able to go back there knowing that you got a little taste of what these guys and girls experience going on the road, fighting away from home, kind of getting in that mentality with a lot of media around you and on TV and all that. What was that whole experience like for you, man?
Honestly, Jim, it was amazing. That was actually the second time I've ever been on an airplane. So when I was flying out, I was like, man, I'm flying out. I'm still cutting weight. And then I got a fight tomorrow. And then on top of that, when I got back to the hotel, right across from me was Sean Ahern. And he got a lot bigger in person when I saw him. So that was definitely something. But when I had the cameras on me and speaking to you beforehand before the fight, I kind of was like getting a good taste of it. Like I liked it. It just made me want to keep on getting there, and that was why once I got the okay from Quinn to go pro, I was like, man, I cannot wait.
Daniel's every coach's dream. He makes things easy to, he's a hard worker. He's talented and he's extremely coachable, which is like, you can't ask for anything more. And he's a great teammate. And, he's great to look at on the mat. He's definitely the most attractive guy on the team. Looking at a hair out of place. That's why he works the front desk, because he just comes in. Our memberships have gone up extremely and substantially with from the ages from 18 to 30 now that Daniel's at the front desk. So
the female demo's coming in.
He's a very charming person. But no, that's all the other reason why I knew that he was ready to do it then. He's got a very good mindset on everything, and that's another reason why I can't see why he's graduating. Obviously I wish I could have him forever, but I'm obviously still going to be helping him out, but now he's got to go rock the world, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice. So, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is finding out who's on Team Florida now. We're going to miss Dan, but who's the next Dan Wyatt? I mean, who's your what's your roster look like, and how do you feel about these guys?
We got a lot of guys like since the tournament last year, and Daniel Kabasher, team just rocked everything in Florida. Like, we just really, really killed it. We were 26 for our last 30 fights, and you can't ask for anything better than that. We just the program it's not a team anymore. It's a running program. The trains that left the station, everyone's just picking each other up. And right now we got a 125 pounder, Alex Perez, who's just the jiu-jitsu whiz, and he just really knows how to get to make the fight his fight. At 155, we got Blake Janko, who's just another person extremely coachable and just an absolute strategist when he's in the cage. And then at 170, we got Dylan Edwards, who's just a freak athlete, and he's just real vicious with his striking. And then all these guys, they bring all these other aspects that they're just going to keep helping each other out. We got a wrestler at 185 who wrestled at Ohio State, and Carlos Martinez, who moved down. And we just got just talent after talent, man, and we're really doing good. And Wong Ki's coming back at 145, I believe. So everything is just really looking good. We got a few spots to fill, but that's good. And then the women, we got Ann Ribeiro, who's just an absolute monster. She's going to freak when she turns pro. She's really awesome now. And then we have a couple other ladies that we got to get in contact with that we've been in touch with. Can't release any names with that, but everything's looking good, and everyone's really excited about being national champions. So I can't ask for a better situation with us.
Hey, so quick story. Back to Dan's story about coming in and cutting weight over in Virginia. We stayed at a DoubleTree, and if you've ever stayed at a DoubleTree, they've got these amazing cookies, right? So Dan knows what I'm talking about. And there was this older lady who worked at the DoubleTree who would not stop handing these guys cookies. And I had to tell, listen, they're cutting weight. You can't be giving them all these cookies. Like, every one of these guys has to cut weight. And she just wouldn't listen, man. She just kept giving cookies out. And it was amazing. Like, it's the most DoubleTree cookies I've ever had in my life. I wasn't cutting weight, so I didn't care. But these guys were suffering that first day because this lady would not leave us alone about these cookies. And Dan, you can vouch. Was she not pushing the cookies?
Jesse, 100%. They must have brought out a fresh batch or something, because this lady handed me, you're only supposed to give you one, like, if you ask for it. This lady handed me 5 right off the bat. And I was like, well, I still got a few more pounds to go.
Man,
So
maybe she was a plant. Team Virginia threw her there and said, "Give these Florida guys cookies before weigh-ins."
Man, I freaking knew it.
I couldn't button my jacket, man. I'm like, wait a minute, why the hell is my jacket not buttoning all those damn cookies? I'm glad you brought that up, Jesse, because those Southern comfort, man, everywhere you go in the South, they're handing you food, food, food. And I remember that lady specifically. And the challenge, people don't realize, you're on the road, you got a fight coming up, you're cutting weight, but you're also traveling. And, when you're at home, it's a lot easier to monitor and to do. But when you're on the road and there are so many variables that are out of your control, and we've talked about some of them on the show. We had a sauna that wasn't working for Team Arizona when they went to Illinois. And, how difficult is that, Daniel? And I want Ryan to piggyback on this too. How tough is that when you're on the road, unfamiliar, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what's going to be there when you get there? Talk about the mental focus and toughness that it takes to stay locked in.
Oh, it's definitely tough. I mean, on top again, handed all those delicious cookies. I mean, also being somewhere where I'm not used to and not knowing my weight after getting off the plane, all that. Because, I mean, realistically, I had to cut all the weight the night before. I didn't know if, the flying was going to affect any of that. So it really is tough mentally, but luckily we had a few scales that we had brought with us, and they were all on. So once I knew I was good, I got to relax a little bit. They had I went and sat in the pool down there at the DoubleTree and just got to relax a few hours before weigh-ins. But definitely for a while, it was a little nerve-wracking.
And that's something, Jesse, that I know you take a lot of pride in, man. And I know that I work for you and I've been here from day one, but I can definitely say Jesse always tries to cross every T and dot every I for you guys before you get there, to make sure that you have places to go to do these things, to make sure that it's just seamless and as easy as possible. Jesse, I know how much that means to you, to take care of the fighters and have everything covered for them as much as possible.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's one of the things I think we do really well. We make sure they have transportation. We make sure that they're taken care of as far as, a place to cut weight. We give them rehydration food. Like, we know they're traveling. It's not easy, for these amateurs. They're not making any money to fight. So they're traveling, they're cutting weight. They need to rehydrate. They've got to get from place to place. Imagine, having to Uber around Virginia when you're not from Virginia and trying to hit different gyms and having to pay for that. And, we do the best we possibly can on our budget to make sure that these fighters are taken care of. They have somewhere to cut weight. They have food for rehydration. They've got a proper place to sleep. Like, that's the stuff we pride ourselves on, and we'll continue to do that. If we can't do that, we won't have any event.
That's awesome. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. And, you do that for us too. Frankie and I, when we call the fights, or when Ryan and I did it, almost everything's done for us before we get there. It's a professional production and a great way for the fighters and the teams to really be, feeling like pros and feeling like they mean something, and really giving more incentive to stay amateur a little bit longer. But I want to ask Ryan how important it is for a fighter to maintain that amateur status. And a guy who comes to mind is a guy I've worked with before many times, Jose Shorty Torres. Never fought in the EAFL, but he's a two-time national champion and world champion on the amateur level, and fought a ton of amateur fights before turning pro. And he trains at Top Team with you guys, so he came to mind. But just maintaining that amateur status when the losses don't count, you can learn, you can be coached, you can do things like go and fight for the EAFL. How important is it for guys and girls not to turn pro too fast when they have all those stars in their eyes and they see those dollar signs?
Oh yeah, it's important, because you need to, like you said, get those mistakes out. You don't want a total can crusher at the amateur level and worry about protecting yourself as an amateur, and then go to the professional level, and then you start off, you're 1-3. That's terrible. It's just you really want to iron things out as an amateur. So when it comes time to turn pro, all you're doing is refining your skills, building to your strengths. You're not really you shouldn't be learning how to be professional. You should be learning how to throw your hands as an amateur. And that's just an example of. And it's obviously a case by case basis, but it's good to know where you're at and to see where you could build off of. And then also, let's say you're 5-0, he's 5-0. Let's fight now. And a lot of coaches like to say, no, let's wait to make our money off that. I don't really think that either. You could fight these guys now and try to get your experience, put yourself up against the wall where it could be a race later and challenge yourself. I can't think of a regional professional promoter who's waiting two guys that are 5-0 serious money. But and for a coach to be like, nah, if he's saying, nah, let's hold that off until they're professional so they can make some money, I think that's the coach just being afraid of the competition and the challenge that's in front of their face. Like that's what I think. I think that's ridiculous. I think you got to learn to deal with all that as an amateur.
What I've noticed, it's a running theme with these really high-level coaches like Ryan and the guys over at Wink and Sam Elvey over at Quest that, they get it. They realize that the most important thing in an amateur fighter's careers is experience. It doesn't do anybody any good to have 8 30-second fights that they win where they get no experience and no exposure. And guys like Ryan get it. Guys like Sam get it. Joey Villasenor out of Wink gets it. It just seems to be the running theme with these guys that have legit fighters in the UFC, training at their gyms. The guys that are running from these fights, I can tell you one thing that they all have in common. They don't have UFC fighters in their gym. They don't know how to get to the top. And that's why, when we deal with these high-level coaches like Ryan and the guys at Wink and the guys at Alpha Male, their guys make it to the top because they know what they're doing. They've been there before. They've had these guys transition to professionals, transition into the UFC, and they know what they're doing. And if we are supplying a platform where fighters out of Top Team and Alpha Male and Wink and Team Quest and MMA Institute and the team over here in Illinois at Midwest Training Center, they get it. And they've got these fighters that are transitioning. I think we're doing our job, and we're going to continue to go that route and supply this level of competition that we truly believe is needed.
Yeah, and Daniel, I want to get your thoughts on this too. And you said earlier, Coach Quinn told me I was ready, and so I'm turning pro. How many amateur fights did you have? What was that experience like for you transitioning into becoming a pro, mindset-wise maybe? And then, did you have to deal with any promoters trying to get at you? And I've seen promoters trying to turn fighters against their coaches. Oh, he doesn't have your best interest at heart. You need to come fight for me. And I've seen promoters tell fighters that they fight for another promoter, they can never fight for that promoter again. And, it's a dirty game when you're a fighter dealing with some of these people. Sometimes, not all of them. I don't want to throw all of them under the bus.
No, it definitely is, but definitely down here in South Florida, Coach Quinn is known by all the promoters. So, I mean, they know for a fact that if they say anything to me, Coach is going to know before anybody. So,
while it's a little light right now with not being able to be at the gym, how much am I looking to take off me?
What'd you say, Coach?
That my wallet's a little light right now and not being able to work the last few weeks. But how much money are you looking for with all these compliments and stuff?
No, but I have to admit, Coach has done nothing but help me the entire time. And throughout my amateur career, I've had it all. I mean, I've gone the distance. I've had all the first round finishes. I've had the loss. I had the injury. I broke my foot in my not my last fight, my fight before. I broke my foot in the first round and fought all 3 rounds. So I had to experience that first loss, and then coming back through multiple injuries. Coach Quinn was the one who, in my last fight, my opponent pulled out 3 days before, and they had messaged me trying to find me another fighter and stuff. But everything I did, that was through Coach Quinn. It was him helping me the entire time.
That's amazing. That attitude you have, Ryan, of helping your fighters and helping them be better is just something that's, really outstanding. I'm looking forward to seeing you coach Team Florida this year, man. I'm really excited for that because if you don't know, now you know Ryan Quinn is the Florida Coach of the Year, won an MMA award this year for that. And, just really cares about his team. I want to say his kids in a way because they're almost like kids. So, and speaking of kids, you're about to be a dad. So coaching MMA fighters as they're coming up, no better way to get ready for fatherhood than that, right?
Oh, yeah. I call them kids, and they're not kids, but I call them kids. But they keep me, that's for sure. I'm really looking forward to Team Florida. I can't tell you how excited I am about it. It's very rare that in MMA you actually get these team titles and stuff like that. It's a team sport, but it's not, and this brings it back to being a team sport. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know the guys and girls are really looking forward to it. And I want to go back to what we were talking about before with like the wins and stuff like that and how it's not important so much. Because look, at the end of the day, if you look back at your career and say they were 6-6 or 8-7, but they were on the national championship team. That's what they're gonna. And like it's about winning titles. And like if you were 9-8 as an amateur, but then you made it to the UFC, they're gonna ask you what you're as an amateur. So like it's time to learn like get through that crap now. And like if you go on to win a belt, do you think are they gonna ask you what your amateur record was when you're a champion? So like that's what it comes down to. That's all it comes down to. And that's why like I think that especially the four of us, we're all on the same page with that, and like we're gonna get that message out for more people to follow, and it's gonna be great for amateur MMA as a whole.
Yeah, speaking of great for amateur MMA, Jesse, I know, Ryan, you probably know this, and Jesse, if you haven't told him, now's a great time. The format for Season 4 with the Elite Amateur Fight League, partially because of the coronavirus, partially because we always wanted to do it, is going to change, and it's going to be an even better experience for the fighters. So, Jesse, tell everybody what we're planning for Season 4 and how it's going to be a lot different and just a complete celebration and environment for amateur MMA.
Yeah, well, due to the coronavirus and our upcoming events being canceled, and knowing that we're not going to have the ability to have fans in the building anytime soon, we decided to do a studio show and bring all 12 teams to one location and run all 6 events in the span of 2 days, and really just make it an NCAA type of environment where all the teams are together. They get to watch the whole event. They get to meet each other. And then on top of that, we're able to record 6 independent events in 2 days to get them out to broadcast quicker. So I'm really excited about that. And, we don't quite know where the location's going to be yet. We don't know which states are going to lax their coronavirus rules. So we're really looking, a couple different states, because we just don't know where we're going to have the event yet. But we know it'll be in a studio. We know we're going to bring our full production team down. We know we're bringing all 12 teams. And at the end of the day, we're going to have 6 events that we can run on broadcast really quickly, and we're super excited about it.
Fight Fest.
Fight Fest, all right.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that? I mean, I know, Daniel, you didn't get to experience that, but to have all those teams and all those fighters there, all those coaches, just to be around all that, and we talked about being the NCAA of MMA. It's almost like the first round of the NCAA tournament where all the teams are in one spot. You're all sitting in the arena in different sections, and that's got to be awesome.
Oh, that gets me pumped up. I'm kind of jealous that my teammates get to do that.
Ryan, we only got a couple minutes left, but I just want to get your thoughts on that. You're going to be the coach. You're going to be bringing the team there to have and you know all these guys because it's a small world, the world of MMA. So you could be there with guys like Jackson and Wink, and you could be there with guys like Danny Castillo, Joey Villasenor, and, just a chance to break bread, to hang out, and to compete against all those guys, but all in one location at one time.
I'm looking forward to beating all those names. I'll tell you that right now. All right. I'm having fun with this. I really have it's one of my dreams as far as fighting. After my dreams was to be like a manager and a coach of a major sports program. That right now, I get to play the general manager, the head coach. I go out names like you said, we're NCAAs. I'm like the guy. Why can't I think of his name? The guy from Alabama.
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. Yeah, I want to be the Nick Saban MMA. That's what I'm looking at right now. And I got the big test ahead of me. So
Set that bar high. That bar high, Nick Saban.
Yeah, only reach for the stars. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm really elated with it.
All right, that's Ryan Quinn, the mighty Quinn, Bellator veteran, one of the top coaches in America. Will coach Team Florida out of American Top Team coming up in Season 4. Daniel Wyatt fought for the Florida Force in Season 3, and great to have both of you guys. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. We'll have you again soon. This has been the EAFL's Fighter First Podcast. I'm Jim Griesauber, day one voice of the Elite Amateur Fight League. So happy to be a part of the Elite Amateur Fight League.
Boom, done. Nice. Thanks, guys.
You got a big case of bedhead, man. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I need a haircut in the worst way.
Let's talk a little bit about the Corona haircuts, because my wife had to cut mine, and it didn't work out. I ended up just buzzing the whole thing, but it is what it is.
I'm gonna let
it hides the grays, Jesse.
It does. Well, it's why I wear a hat 90% of the time anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna let my wife go out of it. Like, she's due any minute, so I'm scared that she's gonna get halfway done and then we're gonna.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. Getting ready to have a baby in the middle of all this crazy shit going on. Oh, man, it's unbelievable to welcome back Daniel Wyatt, who fought for Florida in season 3 against Virginia, a very good team coming out of American Top Team. And one of his coaches, Bellator MMA vet, Ryan, the mighty Quinn, looking a little bit like Ace Ventura right here on the show here today. You gotta come say.
I was the one when we were eating breakfast, you asked me how I felt about Virginia, and I didn't see one pretty girl in that entire state.
Oh, all right. You didn't go to the right places, but then again, coming from Florida, man, that's a tough. I mean, California, Vegas, that might be about it when you're coming from South Florida.